This is session number one. This is going to be a demo session wherein I will walk you through around the contents. Okay, what all topics we are going to cover in the course. Okay, the duration of the course, the areas in which I will assist you. Okay, so before that, let me quickly introduce myself. Okay, I'm Bindesh, and um, I'm an IT consultant. I've been actively involved in cloud technologies. My total IT experience would be around 11 years. Okay, I started my career as a web developer. Okay, I have worked on technologies like Salesforce, Heroku, Kubernetes. Okay, and my specializations are into building cloud solutions, cloud automations, and DevOps services. Okay, so I'm passionate about learning new technologies. Okay, and of course teaching. Okay, if I talk about my credentials, so I'm holding, I have but 10 plus global certification. I'm a Microsoft certified DevOps engineer as well. Okay, so other than that, I do have some Google Cloud and AWS certification as well. Okay, so I believe that I qualify for teaching you this DevOps technology. Okay, Azure DevOps technology. Okay, now let's talk about the course content. Okay, so um, um, in if I talk about the content of the course, we will start with module number one, in which we will have a primer, DevOps primer. Let's say if you already know what is DevOps, then it is fine. If you do not know, so we will make sure that you first understand what is DevOps, what different technologies, DevOps technologies are in market. Okay, its competitors, what all are the advantages? Because see, there are hundreds of tools in the market. Huh? It's not like we have only Azure DevOps services. Apart from that, there are n number of other services. Okay, so here in module number one, we will explore what is continuous integration process, what is continuous delivery process. It's other market players. Let's say today I'm working on Azure DevOps. Tomorrow, if I'm getting opportunity on AWS or Google Cloud, so how will I cope up with those tools or those services? Okay, so here we will have a 360-degree view of other market players, as well as we will do a deep dive into Azure DevOps. So from module number two onwards, we will do a deep dive into Azure DevOps services. Okay, so by end of module number one, you will have a very good understanding around what is DevOps. Okay, and in module number two, we will talk about the communication and collaboration aspect of any DevOps project. Okay, so if just for sake of understanding, let me quickly tell you what do we have as a part of DevOps practices. So see, we build the software. Okay, and in DevOps, what do we do? The way we build the software, we try to automate things. We try to automate the testing process. We try to automate the build process. We try to automate the notifying notification process and all. Okay, by means of some tools. Now, tools could be any a tool. Huh? It could be Terraform. It could be Jenkins. It could be GitHub. It could be Bitbucket, GitLab, Grafana, Kubernetes, Docker. There are hundreds of tools in the market. So here, first of all, we will try to understand why it is important to have a collaborated environment. Okay, and then we will see like some software development methodology like Agile, how things work in Agile methodology. If you go back in time, if I talk about my experience, so when I started my career, okay, in 2010-11, so at that time we had a waterfall and spiral model. Okay, we used to follow sometimes a rad model, and today in many projects you will find DevOps and Agile based methodology. So we will try to understand like how Agile methodology works. Okay, how it is different from the legacy way of building the software. Okay, and after that we will explore what Azure offers us in terms of collaboration, and in terms of communicating it with the different teams. Okay, so here we have, in this model we will explore Azure boards. Okay, so if you guys have worked on Rally or Jira tools, no, so it's more or less like that, the same tool. okay, wherein you can see like who is working on which requirement, how much they have completed, how much we are yet to. Okay, if there are any issues or bugs, we can post those things on that Azure boards service. Okay, so we will explore various aspect of Azure boards. Okay, and along with that, we will also explore agile software development methodology. Okay, so here we will also try to understand some other aspect of CI/CD process, continuous integration and delivery, like what is release process, what is build process. I'm sure you guys must have heard about build process and converting your source code into some form of build. Okay, so if you come from a development background, then it is fine. Okay, you can write your own application, but let's say if you do not come from, as Renji just said, like he comes from a on-premise networking and storage services background, so that is fine. I do have a lot of applications for you, okay, which you can take it as a reference. Okay, so I do have a Node.js application, I do have some PowerShell and Python application also. So in my repository, I have uploaded those applications. You can clone these repository on your machines, and then you can make use of it for deriving your CI/CD pipelines. Okay, I do have some Kubernetes application also, which you may find it helpful. Okay, then in module number 3, we will talk about the source control system or version control system, and it is very very important from a project management perspective. Okay, so um, see, usually we follow a pattern, learning pattern, as for understanding the concept. We usually uh, I mean, the sessions would be PPT driven, so we do have these PPTs in order to, I mean, understand the concept. Along with that, we will also have some graphical representations like this, which will help you in understanding like uh, the flow of service or how things are working, because sometimes it becomes very difficult to visualize things once you will get into Azure portal and your DevOps portal, no. So it sometimes it becomes difficult, so we make use of these kind of diagrams in order to understand how things are working. Okay, and once you are clear about the concept, no, then we will perform these activities practically in our DevOps portal. Okay, so I'll tell you how to create an account and how to plug these services together, what are licenses are required, everything we will do. We will see it in the course. Okay, so after that, in module number 3, we will talk about version control system. Okay, so basically it is about storing your code. Okay, for maintaining various version of your code. Okay, so let's say today if I'm writing an application, okay, and tomorrow multiple developers, they are also contributing in some way from their respective systems. Now how will I track that who has made what changes into my in my application? Okay, so I must have that clarity, huh? So here, first of all, we will explore Git. Okay, so we will have a Git primer session wherein I will tell you some of the fundamental things about Git, huh? Various actions, because see, whatever version controls we have right now in market, whether it is, can anyone tell me Git based repository which are there in the market, uh, if you are aware about it? We have GitHub. I hope you guys have heard about GitHub. Yes.
Yeah, heard about it. Yeah.
All right. So GitHub is a Git-based repository. Then you have Bitbucket. Okay. So Bitbucket is just like GitHub only. Okay. So this is again a Git-based repository. In AWS, you have a code commit. Okay. So you have a code commit. So this is again a Git-based repository. And in Azure, we have a service called Azure Repos. Okay. So this is again a Git-based repository. So apart from that, you have a GitLab also. Okay, so that again has a Git based repository. So almost all I mean Git dominates the industry when it comes to version control system. So it is very very important to first understand how Git works. Okay, so we will explore various actions of Git, like what is Git push or pull or fork or clone or commit. These are the basic actions which you as a DevOps engineer, you will perform it multiple times on a daily basis. Okay, so it's very very important to understand these concepts. Doesn't matter what GUI you are using, whether it is GitHub or Bitbucket or Azure repos, but behind the scenes it will be Git only. Okay, so once your code reaches source control system, okay, so here in this section we will explore Git, GitHub and Azure repos. Okay, then in module number 4, we will talk about the continuous integration part. Okay, so let me show you this diagram and let me show you how the course is being structured. So here, when you are on your local machine, you will make use of Git utility. Okay, in order to maintain your application code locally, version locally, then you will push it onto some centralized version control system like this. Okay, your code will reach here. Now next step is build and test process, unit testing, and for that we have module number 4. Here we will talk about continuous integration process. Okay, like why it is important to automate that build process and unit testing process and code review process. So both of you, both I would say all of you have got a lot of experience behind you. So I'm sure you guys must have seen, like if you go back in time maybe 5 years or 5 to 7 years back, so at that time, I mean, we used to have a separate testing team, separate build team, separate integration team, okay, separate support teams, separate development teams. But now, I mean, things are not like that. Okay, in many organization, one there will be one or two teams who those will be responsible for performing multiple things. Okay, so here what do? We as an architect, our responsibility is to build these kind of pipelines. Okay, CI/CD pipelines. We as an administrator or a cloud engineer, our responsibility is to build this pipeline. Okay, and we as a DevOps engineer, our responsibility is to build the applications. Okay, these testers scripts, the deployment scripts, okay, some automations, okay, and then we write the application, we push it onto centralized repository, and then automatically it will be built, automatically unit testing will be performed, automatically the code will be reviewed. Okay, and finally it will reach up to some destination environment. Like it could be virtual machine, it could be any app service, it could be any service fabric cluster, Kubernetes cluster, it could be container instance. Okay, so we have got multiple service options in Azure, in AWS, in Google Cloud. Okay, so wherever you would like to deploy, you can do that. Okay, so here in this module, primarily we will be focused on Azure pipeline service, both build and a release pipeline. Here we will focus on build pipeline in this module. Sonar Cloud is another tool which we will use it for a code review. Okay, so code review is very very important aspect of software development process. Doesn't matter what kind of application are you building, whether it is music streaming application, invoicing application, you must review the code. Okay, like whatever I have written, is it a good code, or I have just written it and it's doing the job? Okay, so Sonar Cloud, here we will see how you can integrate your Azure DevOps pipeline with the Sonar Cloud. Okay, and automatically your code will be pulled from your repository. Okay, it will be reviewed and it will give you the results, like whether you can improve your code quality or is it up to the expectation. Okay, and along with that, I will also tell you how you can integrate Azure DevOps pipeline with Jenkins. So I'm sure, I mean, Jenkins doesn't require any kind of introduction. Okay, Jenkins is dominating the continuous integration and delivery market for a very long time. I would say nearly close to 2 decades. Okay, in there are many areas in which Azure DevOps pipeline gets edged. Okay, and there are many areas where Jenkins gets edged. So I want you to have understanding about both the tools. Okay, let's say if customer is asking for you to have a CI tool or CD tool as Jenkins, Okay, you can propose Jenkins. And if they want a complete package, okay, for their CI/CD solution, say in that case you can go ahead with Azure DevOps also. Okay, here we do have a concept of GitHub workflows and runners. So when it comes to continuous integration, I will also tell you how you can um, um, build your application without using any third party this thing, um, CI tool. Okay, so here in GitHub you have a concept of actions. So if I'll tell you, don't worry about it. I'm just demonstrating this. Where will you find and what's the use of it? Because as I just said earlier, like there are n number of tools in the market, and let's say in my project, if I'm using Azure DevOps, in other project you may find other tools also. Okay, so I will tell you how you can plug Jenkins with your Azure DevOps pipeline. Along with that, I will also tell you if customer wants GitHub Actions, how you can plug those things with your Azure DevOps pipeline. Okay, so in module number 5, we will talk about building cloud infrastructure and configuration management. So one of our friend, I think, uh, was it Rahul or uh, Rahul? You have worked on Terraform before, right?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So here we will explore ARM template. This is IAC tool which Microsoft Azure offers us, and at the same time we will explore Terraform. Okay, and not just that. We do have a lot of labs for you. Um, uh, so in my repository, I do have a lot of labs both for AWS and for Azure and Google Cloud as well. So let's say if I would like to write a script, a Terraform script, in order to provision cloud infrastructure in Azure or AWS or DigitalOcean, okay, or in VMware, on a VMware platform. So how will you do that? Okay, so we will do a deep dive. We have got 20 plus modules here. Okay, and I will also share a lot of labs with you. So due to some time constraint, I will not be able to demonstrate everything, but you can take your time and you can um, uh, make take help from those pre-built solutions. Along with that, we will also explore Ansible, okay, in terms of configuration management. So configuration management, as in, let's say I'm using ARM template or Terraform for creating a virtual machine. Okay, a virtual machine or a virtual server or a network or a load balancer. Now I would like to install a software on it. Okay, or maybe let me give you a scenario. You have to provision 500 virtual machines. Okay, and all 500 virtual machines, you have to install Visual Studio Code, you have to install Docker, and you have to start some services. Okay, on all 500 virtual machines. Okay, and you need to pull the code from GitHub, and all 500 virtual machine must have these things in place. Okay, so if you want to do it using Terraform, so Terraform has got provisioner concept, but it is not that good. So for that, you can make use of Ansible. So I'll also tell you how you can bring some configuration management tool like Ansible into your infrastructure provisioning pipeline. Okay, so that it will not just spin up your cloud infrastructure. Along with that, you will also have a very good control over the configuration management aspect of it. Okay, so here we will see like the directory structure of your playbooks. Okay, playbook is like in Terraform, whatever script you write we call manifests. In Kubernetes also we call it manifest or configuration files. In Ansible we call them playbooks. Okay, so playbook is like a configuration file, okay, in which we will write what exactly we wanted. Okay, so those things we will explore in module number 5. Okay, uh, most of the configuration we will write it in YAML language and HCL. In Terraform we will make use of HCL. Okay, and in Ansible we will make use of YAML. Okay, so wherever there will be a prerequisite, let's say if you do not know how to write a YAML things in YAML, Okay, so don't worry, we will have a primer of YAML, JSON, and HCL also, HashiCorp language also. Okay, so you will be able to comfortably write these manifest files without any issues. Okay, in module number 6, we will talk about a plan and deploy container application. So, guys, in today's world, container the containerization, I mean, things are getting containerized, and if you do not know how containerized application works now, then it's very difficult to survive, now. So today doesn't matter whether I'm an administrator or a developer or a DevOps engineer or SRE. I mean, you will find um, today or tomorrow the application will be containerized. Now those days are gone when we used to deploy our application in the form of raw code. Okay, so here we will first try to understand, I'm sure you guys would be aware about virtualization technology. Okay, if not, then like earlier it was physical servers. Now on a single platform we provision multiple virtual machines with the help of hypervisor. Like this is my software hypervisor, virtual VM, virtual box. Like that you have VMware, you have Zen, you have Hyper-V. Okay, so on top of my single physical machine I can run multiple virtual machines. Okay, this is my VM number one, which is Debian image. This is a Debian virtual machine. This is CentOS. Okay, this is Ubuntu. This is again CentOS. Okay, so I have got 4 5 operating system which I can run it parallelly with the help of hypervisor. Okay, so here in this module we will compare containerization with virtualization technique, how it is better in terms of resource utilization, and we will also see what Azure offers us in terms of containerization. So we will provision virtual machine, then we will install Docker on top of it. Okay, and we will see how to create a containers, how to stop container, how to kill containers. Okay, and once you have a good understanding around the containerization process, then we will explore the managed Kubernetes service, which is Azure Kubernetes service and Azure Container Registry. Okay, so ECR, and these two services are widely used. Okay, in many places you will find that these containerized or container orchestration tools are being used. Okay, so it has got a lot of weightage in interview also, I have seen many organizations prefer people, especially the DevOps engineer with a container knowledge. Okay, if you have worked on any container service, whether it is Azure or Docker or Docker Swarm or OpenShift or Kubernetes, okay, you will always get preference over other candidates. Okay, um, and I've got a lot of visuals, some graphics also, which will help you in understanding, because see, Kubernetes is a bit big topic. Okay, so if you'll randomly Google it now, so you may not find uh, you will find static documents which are not that appealing, and sometimes it becomes very difficult to visualize, to understand what exactly they want to convey. Okay, and so here I will help you in not just understanding the concept, but we will see these things practically in action practically. Okay, in module number 7 we will talk about the continuous delivery and release management process. Okay, so whatever I am explaining here, no, I'm basically I'm aligned with these things are aligned with the Microsoft certification exam content. So I have derived everything from there only. Okay, so recently they have made some updates into it. Okay, so we have incorporated those changes into it also. Recently means in month of October. Okay, so here you can see this is official documentation page of AZ 400. Okay, which is the exam code, and here they have mentioned like the English language version of this exam was updated on November 1. Okay, so whatever are the new updates, like they have introduced couple of services which is already part of our course. Okay, and um, whatever areas they will assess you, like the process and communication. Source control is our module number 3. Built and release pipeline, which is module number 4. Security and compliance is our 10th module. Okay, and instrumentation strategy, which is our module number 7. Okay, so it will not just cover all the sections of certification exam. Along with that, you are getting 3 extra modules, okay, in which we will explore container services. Okay, and in module number 7 we will explore the release process. Okay, so release process means, if I have to explain it in this diagram. Okay, so let's say you have written some code. Okay, it could be a ARM template, it could be a Terraform script, or it could be application code. You have pushed it onto your version control system. Okay, so here we have in Azure, we have Azure repos. It could be GitHub or it could be Bitbucket also. Then automatically it will be built. Automatically it will be reviewed with respect to some conditions. Okay, and once it is reviewed and tested, then it will be pushed onto your release pipeline. So from here your release process starts. Okay, now release pipeline has got a job to read this artifact, read these builds, and take it and deploy it somewhere. Okay, so you can deploy it on virtual machines or physical servers or any PaaS platforms, like you have Azure Functions. In AWS you have EC2 instance. Okay, you have EKS, you have Fargate. Okay, you have Lambda functions. So you have got n number of options wherein you can take these builds and you can deploy it. Okay, and whatever we will learn here, see, these things will be independent of what language are you using. It's not like if I'm a Python developer, then pipeline will look like this, and if I'm a Java developer, then I need to change the design of my pipeline. It would remain more or less the same. Okay, whatever things are happening inside my build up pipeline and my release pipeline, that would be a selective thing or a conditional thing. Okay, but your pipeline will basically follow the same process. Okay, then in model number 8 we will talk about developing instrumentation strategy, which is this last point. Okay, instrumentation strategy. So here we will talk about the monitoring and logging aspect of our DevOps pipeline. Okay, so monitoring, why monitoring is so important here? Because see, uh, the whole idea of having DevOps practices is to automate your software development experience. If I have to do things manually, if I have to manually test, manually deploy, then again we will get into those legacy things. Again your release process will be delayed. Again things will be not that reliable. Okay, and it will take 5 months, 6 months to release your one software version. Okay, so it will take a lot of time. So here it's very very important to monitor your resources and proactively act upon it. Okay, depending upon the logs which it will generate, depending upon the metrics it will generate, how you can notify your support team, how you can notify your managers. Okay, and for that in Azure you have a couple of services, like you have Azure Monitor, you have application insights, you have activity log. Okay, you have log analytics service, and you have alerts, Azure alerts. Okay, so we will explore these streaming and notification services, so that if anything, anything if any risk is involved, okay, it will shoot or trigger an email notification or message notification, so that those team can act upon it. Okay, they can take some proactive actions or remedial actions. Okay, so in the first section we will talk about these monitoring and auditing services or notification service. In later half we will talk about the external monitoring utilities. Okay, so there are two utility which we will explore here. One is Prometheus. Okay, using Prometheus you can monitor your virtual machines, your clusters, your Kubernetes clusters. Okay, at a very discrete level. Let's say I would like to know how my RAM is performing right now, how my disk is performing right now, how my application is performing. So those things you can monitor it using Prometheus. Okay, so it supports almost all the operating system platform, like you have Mac, you have Linux, you have Windows. Okay, so most of our lab will revolve around Linux platforms only. Okay, but I will also tell you how you can perform the same thing with Windows also. Huh? So actually, I do not have documentation for Mac OS, but if any one of you have a MacBook, just let me know in advance and I will assist you. Okay, and Grafana would be used for notification, sending notifications, and for visualizing the captured graph. Okay, so let's say you have an application and like Google. Okay, so now Google wants to know that how many people search a particular keyword on a daily basis, how many people travel more than 10 kilometers on a daily basis, because Google has got data of everything. Okay, they are in our pocket. They know where we are traveling right now. They know what is in my inbox. Okay, how much things I buy using UPI if I'm using Google Pay. So they know a lot of things about us. So now they would like to know, like, how um, take out some valuable information out of that data. So what we will do, instead of getting into those logs, what we will do, we will take those logs and we will put it into some form of graph. Okay, so that graphs looks appealing and customers prefer these kind of graphs. Okay, instead of those boring log records. Huh? Okay, so in Grafana I will show you. We do have a managed service, managed Grafana service in Azure. Okay, where I will tell you how you can integrate your virtual machines with Grafana in order to visualize the captured logs. Okay, so um, after that, let me move on to module number 9. Guys, if you have any doubts, no, feel free to ask. Huh? Um, no need to wait till the end. Okay, wherever you feel that you would like to know more about it, or if you have any queries, now feel free to ask. Okay. In module number 9, we will talk about the site reliability engineer strategies. Okay, so you being a SRE, what will be your roles and responsibilities? So SRE is like uh, a person who is responsible for making your application more reliable by using some tools and some practices. Okay, so we will see here how we can have a notification and services in place, how we can have a monitoring services in place. Doesn't matter what kind of application we are building. Huh? So whether it is a healthcare application, or a invoicing application, or a food ordering application, or a ticketing application. Okay, monitoring will be there, logging will be there. Okay, load balancing solution will be there, disaster recovery solution will be there. Okay, so how you can make your application more reliable. Okay, that is the job of site reliability engineer. Okay, so here we will discuss about those practices, that let's say tomorrow, if you would like to promote yourself as a SRE. Okay, so what all will be your roles and responsibility, and what all expertise you must have. Okay, in order to promote yourself as SRE. So those things we will explore here. Okay, and in last module, module number 10, we will talk about the security aspect of your DevOps solutions. Okay, so this is again a very, very important module of the course. Okay, so here basically we will talk about authentication and authorization process. So I've heard that Rahul is 104 certified. Huh? So Rahul, you must be aware about Azure Active Directory and RBAC process, right? And organization hierarchy,
Yes.
right? Yes. So here also in first under first topic we will talk about the organization hierarchy. What is the role of Azure Active Directory? What is what are Azure subscriptions? Okay, the pricing model. Okay, and how your Azure DevOps is connected with your Azure Active Directory. Okay, so here we will also explore B2C. integration. So B2C means the SSO or single sign-on process. Okay, so this is again very very important um, section of this module. Okay, so SSO, like let's say I would like to access my DevOps portal. Let's say this is my DevOps portal, Azure DevOps portal, and I would like to access it using my corporate credential. Okay, so this is my sample DevOps project which I want to access it, but not using my DevOps account credential. I would like to access it using my company's credential. Okay, so how will you enable that? Okay, so that is what we will see it here. How you can make use of Azure Active Directory. Okay, and you can enable employees. See, nowadays SSO is very common. So you guys must be accessing various application in your company, right? Your timesheet application, your income tax application, your maybe your company's community portals. It's not like you will have a number of credential. You would be using only one credential for accessing various applications, right? Your mailing application, your chat applications, right? So how they enable you to access multiple various application using the same credential, that is with the help of SSO like technologies, okay, or single sign-on process. So how you can enable that SSO here in Azure DevOps, okay, with the help of Azure Active Directory. Okay, that too we will see here. We do have some other security services like Azure Key Vault and HashiCorp Vault. So Azure Key Vault is the place for storing your sensitive information, like it could be key pairs or certificates or your passwords, your username. Usually, I mean, we have a very I'm not sure about you guys, but I had a very bad habit of storing a credential on sticky notes and on notepads on my desktop. Okay, so it was not at all a good practice at enterprise scale. Okay, so you must not put your sensitive information anywhere, like in plain text format. So for that, there is a better approach. Okay, you can make use of Azure Key Vault or HashiCorp Vault, wherein you can store your sensitive or confidential information like your signed certificates, your key pairs, okay, your URLs, your usernames, passwords. Okay, so here I will show you how you can create an instance out of Key Vault. Okay, how you can store that data, how you can retrieve it. Okay, and as per best practices, whatever Microsoft recommends, we will follow those best practices in order to see these services in action. Okay, and then finally we will see dynamic Azure credentials for application and CI/CD pipeline. So dynamic credential means like it's one form of credential. Okay, so at runtime it will query your credentials and it will execute your pipelines. No need to write your credential anywhere in your script. Okay, at runtime it will make a request, it will execute your pipelines, and then after that your credential will expire there itself. Okay, so it will be like a short term, short lived uh, passwords or tokens which will be valid only for a few seconds. After that it will expire. Okay, so here it marks the end of our course content. Okay, now let me go back to the PPT, and these were the 10 modules which I have just walked you through. Okay, now, importance of technology. I think if you have joined this course, I'm sure all of you would be aware about the importance of this technology. Now, DevOps is everywhere. Okay. Now, no one talks about those legacy methods of building software. Now, I mean, everyone want a faster development cycle. Everyone want automated builds. Everyone want better quality product. Okay, so we do not really rely on a manual process of building our applications. Okay, instead we prefer these kind of tools, automated tools, in order to automate the software development experience. Okay, um, if I talk about the advantage, so Azure DevOps, the advantages of Azure DevOps, so it is flexible in nature. Doesn't matter if you're a Python developer, .NET, Ruby, Go, whatever programming language you are, or even if you do not know any programming language, let's say if you're an administrator or an architect or a database person, and if you still want to explore DevOps service now, then also you have got lot of things here. Okay, it's not like there are a lot of things which is carried out by sysops, your administrators and your architect people. Okay, so it's flexible in nature, it's platform independent. If your workload needs to be deployed on Azure, I can make use of Azure DevOps in order to take the code from Salesforce and deploy it on Heroku also. Okay, so there are a lot of ways by which you can do that. Okay, um, um, uh, so there is no such restriction when it comes to cloud platform. Okay, you can take your application from anywhere and deploy anywhere. Okay, there are a lot of native connectors available. Okay, just like we get it in Jenkins. In Jenkins we call it extensions or plugins. Here also you have a lot of plugins available. Okay, and it's reliable, no doubt. Okay, many big organizations like you have Wipro, you have got ITC, you have got HCL, where they make use of Azure DevOps services for various clients. Okay, and timely access to new feature. It's a managed SaaS offering, huh? It's a complete software as a service offering. Okay, and if any new updates are coming, then you can Microsoft will take care of it. You need not patch anything or you need not update anything for bringing these new features into your DevOps stack. Okay. If I talk about the competitors of Azure DevOps, so you have got AWS developer stack, but it's I will not say they're direct competitors, because in terms of DevOps capability, AWS is it lacks. Okay, in many areas, I mean they are not even comparable, I would say. Okay, GitLab is an external CI/CD stack. Okay, which I can compare it with Azure DevOps. Okay, but Microsoft is known for their point and click things. Okay, so they have got very appealing user interface, very good looking things, and it's very lightweight. Especially when it comes to integration it with Microsoft technologies like Power BI, you have Microsoft Dynamics, you have Microsoft Office 365, you have Azure AD, okay, Active Directory, you have on-premise Active Directory services, okay, you have SCCM. So Microsoft has got a lot of native integration option if you go ahead with the Azure DevOps, whereas in GitLab you might not get those options. Okay, and there are various external tools in the market. Okay, so I personally prefer Azure DevOps, and I have helped many customers to onboard on Azure DevOps. Doesn't matter whether they had some application on Azure platform or not. If I just want to use Azure DevOps for building my Python application, my PHP application, I can do that. Okay, so there won't be any issues. Okay, just like Jenkins. Okay, now in terms of certification exam, after completion of the course, you can go ahead, you can target AZ 400 exam, which is Microsoft Certified DevOps Engineer exam. Okay, it's like a intermediate level exam. Okay, so intermediate as in like not a entry level exam, huh? It requires a lot of practice. Okay, and the question would be scenario based. Most of the questions would be scenario based, and if you need any assistance, I will help you, huh? As per new syllabus, whatever, I do have some practice papers and question bank of around 300 questions. If you need any assistance in preparing for the exam, okay, I will assist you on that as well. Okay. If I talk about job opportunities, so we have, you can, after completion of the course, you can apply. If this is purely an optional thing, if you're not looking for opportunities outside right now, okay, you can simply skip this section. Okay, but if you're a job aspirant and if you're looking any opportunities after, if you're planning to apply for any opportunity after completion of the course, no, then yeah, you can apply as a DevOps engineer or release manager. Okay, or a developer or SRE or a sysops admin. Okay, So these are some of the roles for which you can apply after completion of the course. Okay, because see, all the roles has got different roles and different responsibilities basically. Okay, so whatever role are you applying from, for accordingly your responsibility changes. Okay, so like if you're a DevOps engineer, then you will be more into development and automations. And if you come from an infra background, let's say, like uh, sorry, I forgot name. Was it Renji? Yes. Okay, like Renji comes from a networking background or a on-premise technology background. Okay, so what I will suggest him, you go ahead with solution architect roles, or maybe cloud engineer roles. Okay, or SRE roles, so that his prior knowledge, he can leverage his prior knowledge. Along with that, after gaining some knowledge around cloud technology and DevOps technology, so it will be a very good uh, perfect mix of on-premise technology plus your cloud and DevOps technologies. Okay, so accordingly you can prepare your profile and apply for either of these roles. Okay,
Thank you, Bidesh. Thank you. Yeah.
thanks. Yes. All right, guys. So it's time for questions. If you have any question around the content and anything like around the course, or so feel free to ask.
Yeah, Bidesh, Rajit here.
Sure.
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for your time. And my only worry is about that coding part. My only worry is about, since I don't have any experience in
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Ranjay, don't worry about it. Actually, I do have many applications I have showed you. So I would suggest you in long run, huh? Not now. In long run, maybe 2 year, 3 year down the line, what you can do is you can gradually get into some language, huh? Some programming language, any high level language. Not now, okay. So because when we talk about DevOps now, so there are a lot of different roles. Like a release manager, they're not directly involved into any kind of development activities. If I talk about administrators or solution architect, they're also not directly involved in the development process. So if you want, if you're getting any opportunity wherein you are building these CI/CD pipelines for development teams, okay, so so in that case, this knowledge of DevOps service will help you, but not core development task will be given to you. Okay, so when it comes to labs now that we will perform here, I do have around 20 plus application where some Python, some .NET applications are there. So I will explain you like what that application is about. You can just download that code. Okay, you can take the code and you can plug it with your pipelines or your containerized platforms, and you can perform those labs. And in interview also, if any question is, if you're getting any question around the process, no, so process anyways, it doesn't matter if that code is written by me or someone else. Um, uh, if you know how the flow works, what all are the various services which forms your pipeline, okay, what is containerized platform, so there won't be any blocker as such, I would say. Even if if you are not good at any programming language now, next level, I would say next level, whenever you will go for next level, no, like now from here on, I would like to get into microservice service development, or maybe any other core development technology. So at that time, you have to decide whether I want to continue that path or this path. But at this point in time, I don't think any core development skill will be required for understanding any of these services. Whatever we will discuss here, there won't be any blocker as such.
Okay, Bidesh.
All right. Yes.
Yeah.
And there are some data serialization languages like YAML and JSON. It's nothing like it would hardly take couple of hours, and you will be writing like a pro. Okay. So I do
I
have
thought,
these
like,
kind of ideas.
Yeah, because I thought we do have some programming templates in that. That's what that was my thinking. We do have templates in as a code in the DevOps platform. So
All right.
we need to we need to modify it according to the client requirement. That's what that was my thinking actually.
All right. So template as in what kind of template it is? May I know?
Like
Like,
well, template in the sense if we get any requirement from the client side, I thought
okay.
we do have a template inside the DevOps platform. We need to modify accordingly with the
All right. I got it. I got it.
yeah
So
yeah
actually, every built-up process and every what we can say, the release process, no, that is derived by some configuration files. And in Azure DevOps, we make use of YAML language for that. Okay. Here also, when we create a release or when we create a build pipeline, it will ask you to write those templates or configuration files. So here we will write it in what do we say? In YAML language only. Okay, so YAML doesn't have any programming construct like if else or looping statements or conditional statements. It's just like a JSON language, normal data serialization language. So we do have a YAML primer also here in the same syllabus. Okay, so before we actually go ahead and write these manifest, no, we will have a YAML primer here in module number 4, wherein I will tell you like basic grammar of YAML. Okay, and same YAML you can use it in Jenkins also. In Terraform, we have a language called HCL. It is more or less like your YAML only. In Kubernetes also, you need YAML only. Okay, so in Docker also, when you write Docker manifest files and Docker swarm, so there also you need YAML only. Okay, so if those are the templates, then I don't think you will find any challenges after this primer session. If you have any template other than this, no, which is, I mean, written with some other programming language, then I might need to, I mean, see before making any commitment. Okay, if I'm not sure about it, I will not say anything. But if you can help me, or if you can give me some context and now or maybe later, okay, like what kind of templates are those? Okay, so I will assist you. So you need not worry about it.
thanks sir.
Currently, you are working in which organization?
I'm working with actually I'm a freelancer also, and I'm working with Entity Data, Bangalore.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I worked with before this. I worked with HCL, Wipro Technologies, ITC, okay, T Systems. Okay, before
Okay,
that Cognizant. Okay,
okay,
then ABN Bev, Bangalore ABN Bev. Okay, and now with Entity Data. Yes,
okay. Thank you.
thanks. All right, guys. So I hope the session was informative, okay, and worthwhile. So thanks for joining. Okay,
Yeah,
so
thank you Bindesh.
thank you so much for joining.
Okay,
Have a
thank you
nice
very
day.
much.
Yep.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you, Bindesh. Thank you.